Hi friends, Elliot here from Lazy Dogs Records, and had to run up to the big city today to go to a doctor's appointment, and to compensate for all the inconvenience, I made a stop at the record store, went through the dollar bins, came up with a lot of interesting records, and I thought I'd share them with you right now. A few of them I didn't get from the dollar bins. I'll go over those first. What's playing right now: Bessie Smith, The Empress, and as you can hear, the great Bessie Smith on Columbia Records. Nice little compilation here. And Alex Taylor, older brother James Taylor. James Taylor's first recording was with his older brother Alex's band. They recorded in Raleigh, which is where I bought this record. I bought it because I kind of like, I've got most of Livingston Taylor's records, and I've been looking for some from Alex, and this is actually a later album made in the mid 80s on King Snake Records, with liner notes from Elwood Blues, or better known as Dan Aykroyd, on here. Some blues oriented music. And Jimmy Witherspoon on Verve, a blue point of view. And none of these records were very expensive at all, just a few dollars. And this one, early Johnny Winter, it's called The Johnny Winter Story. There's Johnny in his younger days. Recently they put out a documentary about Johnny Winters. It's kind of interesting. And this is basically trying to take advantage of, it's got some pictures here you can flip through and everything, trying to take advantage of his popularity. And this is on GRT Records from 1969, material he cut before he was discovered, trying to make it music business. So a lot of it's not, I mean, you can hear some blues influence, but it's really very much trying to get a pop hit there out in Texas, where he's from. I thought it'd be interesting to have what he was doing before he was discovered. And then the usual suspects from the dollar bins, but there's oftentimes some Simon and Garfunkel, but I don't see bookends that often, so I went ahead and picked that one up. I bet I've got 5 copies of this, but I give it to people when I get a good copy. I'm looking for the cleanest copy possible. And Ricky Lee Jones' debut album. This is really a good album. Everybody ought to have this, and don't pay more than $1 for it, because they're in the dollar bins everywhere. And she's just an excellent artist. And that first album, just Danny's All Star and all that, just blew everybody away. Had to be in a certain mood for Joan Baez, but this is one of her Vanguard records. And I don't know what year this one actually was. 1967, I do know. And it's got one she co-wrote called Saigon Bride. It's got Tim Hardin's If You Were a Carpenter. Let's see, it's got Eleanor Rigby, Paul McCartney, John Lennon song, and one from Donovan, Turquoise. Great interpreter. Her voice is something, like I say, I have to be in the mood for. Seems like a nice person though. Let's see, Maisie, you were asking about the John Hartford song that Glenn Campbell recorded. It's this one, Gentle on My Mind. This is the Gentle on My Mind album. And Glenn Campbell recorded that song and then used Glenn Campbell on his TV show as one of his accompanist. If you remember, the guy that never spoke, that started the show each time. Thing about Gentle on My Mind, not only was it a great song, but the financial benefit from writing that song enabled John Hartford to stop being too concerned about, just surviving financially. It gave him the flexibility to go be just as creative and artistic as he wanted without having to compromise musically in order to try to please more people to make enough money to live on. So it led to projects like Aeroplane and all the other great what would become known as newgrass, I guess, music that would be to come. Got a rule: when you're in the dollar bins, if it's in good shape and it's by Chet Atkins, you get it. Chet Atkins, the guitar genius. This is from '63. Same rule applies. If it's Frank Sinatra, if it's in good shape in the dollar bin, get it. This is "Come Fly With Me" with Billy May and his orchestra. Sarah Vaughan, might as well use the same rule. In a Romantic Mood, this one is called. Don't know the year on this one. Don't see it anywhere. And then some things I don't normally see in the dollar bins. Here's Robin Trower live, great guitarist. He was with Procol Harum, was it? I believe so, for a little while. And of course did some great solo work. Looking forward to listening to that one. And here's one you don't see in the dollar bins too often. It's an Americana artist, I believe, Ryan Bingham. Hey Chester, get up here and let everybody see you. There's Chester. And this is a relatively new album. It's from 2009, I believe. In really good shape. Bent corner. The records are in great shape. So definitely pick that one up. My last video was talking about flat pickers. And lo and behold, here's Kickin' Mules Flat Picking Guitar Festival featuring David Bromberg and several other people mentioned here, but David Bromberg's the name I specifically know. There's Bromberg right there. So this was early on in his career, looks like. And looking forward to seeing just what's in store with that one. And this one from June Apple, record label out of Kentucky. Let's see. Buzzard Rock String Band. I've got the blues for my Kentucky home. And I noticed something. String band, but there's a guy playing the clarinet. One thing about string bands and old time bands, things like that, we think of these purist, this must be the lineup and that sort of thing, and these instruments are the only ones you can play. No. If you go back and look at those string band artists from the 20s and 30s, they were playing with all kinds of instruments and playing with jazz musicians, playing with just pop artists. Just there were lots of cross pollination during that time. Even though the record companies kept every genre, they made these genres: hillbilly, race records, pop, the orchestras, swing, whatever. But musicians didn't abide by that very well. So there were string bands that were out there using instruments like the clarinet along with the fiddle and banjo and guitar and things like that. Now, kind of a regional genre is beach music, not to be confused with the Beach Boys or surf music or anything like that. But basically, people in the Carolinas and up into Virginia and down into Georgia, there's a circuit of clubs and societies, clubs as in a group of people that gather monthly or something like that, and nightclubs and beach music festivals that go on for music that originally would have been your R&B artists and songs. And it can vary because it revolves around a dance called the shag. And if you're in England, I know shag means a little something different there in England, but it's a genre that transcends generations. And there are some of the most popular bands here in North Carolina as far as like booked for festivals and things like that. Chester likes beach music, yeah, or the beach music bands. And this has got several. The Showmen are on here. Band of Oz, which is actually a band from about 15 miles from here. Let's see, the Chairman. Band of Oz on here. The Chairman of the board, General Johnson, chairman of the board. They made their living here in the Carolinas playing beach music clubs and festivals for a long time after they quit having national hits. Here's one you see every once in a while in the dollar bins. New Riders of the Purple Sage and The Adventures of Panama Red. Great artwork in here, little cartoons here telling a little story of Panama Red. And I remember my brother had this when we were teenagers, and it was scandalous because you know what Panama Red refers to. And this is the second time I found this record for a very, very low price. The vinyl's good, and actually the cover's not in bad shape. Look at the Who Quadrophenia. So I jumped on that one as soon as I looked at the vinyl, and it looked good. And Bruce Springsteen, Chester, you're just very active today. Bruce Springsteen, and of course, Darkness at the Edge of Town, one of his early albums. It's very popular. Yet there it was in the dollar bins. And if you were a teenager in the mid-70s, mid-late 70s, you remember Tubular Bells. It was a big hit. What was his name? Mike Oldfield. And using synthesizer, I also like to collect, find the albums that some of the early albums I had when I first started buying records when I was 14, 15, 16 years old. And my copy was totally trash, so I found this one, dollar bins. Trace Hombres, ZZ Top on London Records. What a feast they have right there. And of course it's got all, the classics that are on that album. A couple of sealed records. Never pass up a George Jones when you see it. That's sealed. Porter and Dolly. Okay. Featuring Please Don't Stop Lovin' Me. Both of those are sealed. And some of the jazz guys were talking about this fella, Errol Gardner. This is from the early 70s. And got this for $1. And kind of a pop jazz, light jazz, I guess you'd say. But I thought it would be worth checking out. Mazzy was talking. I showed him when he was doing the piano soloist. And here is Cannonball Adler and Ray Brown. I hear people talking about Cannonball Adler a lot. I'm not sure about Ray Brown, but this is on VSP Verve Records. It's two all-time jazz greats, an all-star big band team up for an explosive interpretations of two of the blues and it lists the different songs. So I thought that would be interesting. Anyway, those are some of the finds, and I've got that many more. I won't go through all of them. They're the usual suspects when you go through the dollar bins. Dollar bins. Some people don't. They shy away from the dollar bins. They think, oh, there's nothing but trash in there. First, if you establish whether the seller has the dollar bin as a place to put all the trashed records, I mean the ones that the vinyl's all scratched up, or is it a place where when their inventory is overrunning, they need to get rid of some of their inventory? Bessie, you're screaming there. Do they put things out to move it? You've got 5 copies of Ricky Lee Jones' debut album. You might sell 2 of them for $5 or $6, but the others are going to sit there. So sometimes some of them end up in the dollar bin, and so you can find some good stuff in the dollar bin. So now I got these in Raleigh at Record Crate. Real great guy, Adam at the Record Crate. I always go in there and enjoy talking with him and browsing the records. Well, everybody have a good Thanksgiving. Remember to be kind to your neighbor, and everybody is your neighbor.